Welcome back to another video, and today I'll be discussing newest makeup announcements and releases. Welcome back to another video, and first of all, sorry for the lack of updates during last week. I was kind of bit maybe over optimistic about the fact that I had the time to film during last week, and so why we didn't get a video during last week was for a very good reason. Me and my husband, we were celebrating our 10-year dating anniversary. Obviously, we haven't been married that long. I think we were the we belong to the big group of especially millennial couples who unfortunately had the pandemic postponing both of their engagements and obviously the wedding, because you couldn't obviously have any kind of celebration during the 2020s and even during 2021. So that's a bit of a background. We had a very special weekend, and we did have maybe a bit of a more bigger anniversary celebration than we usually do in our dating anniversary, because I do think 10 years, it's quite of a significant and long time to being together with a one person, especially these days when I don't think relationships as such these days, a lot of them don't last that long. But I am of course very happy and very grateful for the fact that I have been able to find someone who I have been able to connect with, and we have been through together quite a lot. So, and we're still going strong. So that is a bit of background why we didn't get an upload during previous weekend. But we are back with the normal makeup news video. I think for this video we are gonna have a bit more content than usually, because there's been, obviously now since it has been 2 weeks, I did have to go through my Instagram folder and sort through the things that I want to talk about, because there has been quite a lot of releases. The second video you are gonna get this week is the P. Louise unboxing. I have 2 huge P. Louise boxes beside me in this corner, not seeing on the camera, but I'm gonna do an unboxing video of the P. Louise Easter egg I got, and then there were some sales items that I got in the same order. But let's start going through the makeup releases. About the releases, we are seeing quite a few summer releases, which is actually quite nice, because at least where I'm currently living, we are already now having our first days of proper spring weather. It's still not we don't have any greens in the trees, or we don't have any spring flowers yet. It's a bit a in between phase where it's getting warmer, but we don't yet have the plants growing. But I think with the way it's going in terms of the weather, we should start having quite spring-esque weather and atmosphere soon, or at least where I'm living in. Okay, and so the first thing we're gonna be discussing today is something that I do think this has been gotten quite a lot of people talking in the makeup community, and I have been now watching a few reviews video of this particular brand and their first product, because there's been quite a lot of let's just say things surrounding this particular launch. So Leaked Labs, which I do believe this is another makeup brand that is found by influencers. I don't remember their names, but you can Google it. I think there were 2 pretty well-known influencers who are behind this brand. And basically the idea of this Leaked Labs brand is that they are basically taking product concepts and ideas that have been rejected by mainstream brands, and they are now bringing these products to the market. However, the catch here is that you are basically paying for products that aren't fully what I would say consumer tested. So basically you are kind of paying for the privilege, or well, not maybe so privilege, of testing out a product that it won't necessarily make it to the end, because I think the idea is that based on the customer feedback that they get from their products, they are then either gonna keep those products in their staple line, or they're gonna ditch them. So that I think has been the most controversial part so far, because it kind of is that, well, you should be the one actually, a consumer shouldn't have to be paying for being a consumer test group of a product. And this first one is the Amplify Flexi powder. So it is this it's basically a shimmer formula that is in this kind of leather or suede type of a very thin disc. Jen Loves, for example, did get this one, and she already has her review and impression of this one. Based on now having seen quite a few Instagram videos, and also Jen Loves video, which was more of a throughout review of this one, for me at least, this doesn't seem to be the kind of product that I would be paying money for test from, because it seems that there's a bit more variety in terms of quality, that some of the sheets, because you basically get 4 kind of shimmer sheets in this one order, and some of the shimmer sheets there seems to be a bit more pigment and punch to them, but then the other shades don't seem to be working out that well, and it's just maybe not as at least for me, it doesn't seem too of a user-friendly experience, because you kind of do have to apparently wet this product to get it to work out properly, and then there's the whole issue then storage in these if all of the sheets are wet. And For me, this so far, I'm not that impressed about this one. Also, the ordering of this one was quite like expensive, so the sheets are quite thin, you get 4 of them. And apparently, at least if you order this within US with the shipping, these are like $40 US. And I do think for a lot of people, and I think I even commented on Jen Love's video that I think for $40 for 4 very thin sheets of shimmer where the consumer end experience isn't maybe the best that it could be, I think it's a bit too expensive. I think for like these sort of very experimental makeup products, like maybe if the price would have been at least within like US domestic shipping, if it would have been like around $20 US including shipping, then I could maybe like get into this, that okay, it's kind of a bit of maybe fun, you might get a hit product or not, but I think $40 US for something that is this experimental, I think it's a bit too much. And the brand I think has gotten now, I do believe they have also now gotten like quite a few, like there's been like positive feedback, but they have also gotten some critical feedback, and I do believe they did make kind of a response video that maybe didn't go that well with the sort of like makeup community. So I'm pretty interested to see now after this first launch what kind of future this brand, because I do kind of like the idea of trying to bring something new and maybe something that mainstream brands, because I do think the economics of how mainstream makeup brands work, it's quite a bit different than maybe with some smaller brands. So I do kind of like the idea of wanting to bring something innovative and different to the market, but maybe with the way they are doing it currently, I'm a bit questioning, is this the way to do it? But for me, I don't even want to know how expensive it would be to order, because if ordering this within US including shipping is $40 US, then I assume to ordering this abroad is even more expensive. So for me, this is an easy skip, and also I just didn't like when I saw how people tried to use this one, for me, this just didn't seem that consumer friendly. Too Faced is bringing out quite a few new products. We are getting, I think, some lip liners, then we are getting the Chocolate Soleil bronzer in a, I'm a bit on, I think it's a revamped formula, and then we're getting a sort of blush bronzer duo. I don't think I'll be getting anything from this one. I do kind of think that the blush bronzer duos are looking maybe kind of fun, but Too Faced is a bit more expensive, and I don't think, for example, the Chocolate Soleil bronzer, I don't know that they have to do some changes to the formula because they are not able to get some of the ingredients, or that they decide to just reformulate for some other reasons. But I think for me, I'm not in a need of a new bronzer, and similarly, even though the blush bronzer duo is kind of fun, I still don't think I don't need this kind of product. But if you've been looking for new powder products from Too Faced, I think these should be available soon. Kiko did launch some new base products, so they have released a new foundation concealer, and then there's a liquid highlighter. I think the foundation is the main part of this launch, so this is the Love Fusion foundation. I think it's supposed to be more of a, Love Fusion 24-hour moisture radiant foundation. I do believe that especially with the foundation marketing, they were going quite heavily with this sort of skincare combined with foundation. Like skincare combined with makeup, which has been pretty trendy with them, especially base products on the makeup market for the last few years. I do think the foundation, because it is more of a glowier foundation, I could maybe enjoy this one. With Kiko's foundation ranges, it has been a bit of an issue, and I have discussed this with some other drugstore brands, is that the light shades, especially with Kiko's light shades, those are very yellow leaning. Like I have tried quite a few base products from concealers and foundations with them, and the biggest issue is that the light shades are very yellow. I did believe when I saw the shade range of this one online that they are promising that there should be one cool tone leaning fair shade in the line, but based on my experience, their understanding of a fair cool tone shade isn't necessarily the same as with what it should be. But as a foundation especially, I could be into trying this one, but I would very much like to see the shades in store. I'm not gonna blind order this online because, as I said, with Kiko's foundations, we have definitely had the issue with the fair and light shades. They are very yellow. We have some indie releases. So Fantasy Cosmetica has launched a new collection, and with this collection there are some nail polishes. There I think is a perfume, and then there is a new 9-pan. So this is the Cleric palette and collection. It's a cool tone green blue leaning palette, but for me this is a bit of a, when I was especially looking at the matte shades, I do think the shimmers are quite nice, but I was kind of looking at the matte shades thinking that for me this would be a bit of a difficult palette to get a cohesive look with. I'm just thinking that I think the dark blue is a bit like maybe the shade that is kind of throwing this palette off for me. I do think that if you are looking for this kind of 9-pan in a more cool tone leaning, a bit more muted colorful color story, this could be like a good maybe option for you, but I think for me this is a no, because I'm just not maybe vibing with the color correction. Is this the first summer collection? Yes, so this is SUQQU's summer collection, so this is the Magic Hour collection, and compared to the like pre-summer collection that I think I discussed a few weeks ago, this maybe isn't as exciting. There is one like brownish golden leaning eyeshadow quad, and then we have, well, the blue and peach or maybe kind of something a bit more braver. The blushes and lip products are kind of looking a bit samey what we have seen in their like line before, so I'm not maybe as excited with this one as I was with the pre-summer collection that I featured a few weeks ago. So for me, usually I do say that even though I kind of do like the aesthetics of SUQQUU collections, I do try avoid buying this particular brand because it's quite expensive for still what you are getting. But yeah, I would have to say for me this maybe isn't the most appealing SUQQUU collection. The pre-summer collection maybe was a bit more interesting, but I do believe this might be coming then to European markets and to SUQQUU's own website pretty soon. Then something more, so this is Catrice's limited edition spring collection, so spring and the city. Do kind of like the peachy vibe this has going for it. Not anything I try to avoid buying both Catrice's and Essence's limited edition collection. We're also going to see a big Essence limited edition collection in this video later. I do like the design of this one, but there isn't nothing in this one that I want to buy. And usually what Catrice does is that they kind of do experiment and test out some formulas in this limited edition collection, and then you get a full range in their like seasonal updates. But I do think in terms of like the collection design, this is one of the better limited edition collections we have seen from Catrice. We have a Colourpop launch, so this is the, what is this one called? Proof that the bright side always glows up. So this is the silver, I think it's called the Silver Lining collection, or at least that's the eyeshadow palette's name. It's a nice cool tone collection, but I'm a bit wondering the timing of this one, because we are now entering the spring season, and this seems to be more something that I would expect maybe during winter or even fall. It's a bit of a grungier launch for considering the season we are heading. Aside from 9pan, I do believe there are also some lip products, so these are called So Juicy Plumping Gloss Lip Oils. Okay, so these are probably have some kind of plumping effect to them, so these could be the kind of lip products that I don't enjoy. Yeah, as a cool tone eyeshadow 9pan, like this is pretty like okay, but I'm just maybe not vibing with this one considering what kind of season we're entering. But if you are looking for a new cool tone 9pan from Colourpop, I think this is already available on their website. Then a more, again, spring-esque indie release, so Simply Posh Cosmetics has launched a new eyeshadow palette, and what was this one called? Was it, I think it was called Lavender Fields. I do like this color story, but I also think this would be one of those palettes, because I do kind of also have a good range of more colorful, and especially maybe all, like even these kind of muted colorful eyeshadow palettes, that I kind of have something like this amongst my existing palettes. So I think while this would be a color story that I would enjoy, I also think this would be a palette, because I already have some other palettes with similar colors that it would just get sort of like lost in my collection, even though I do actually like the color creation on this one. I was kind of maybe expecting more purple, because it's called the Lavender Fields, and I can kind of get it that they are kind of doing the like the flower color, and then you have the color like green and brown color of the like stems and the sort of earthy tones that you see on a lavender field. But I was still kind of, because I am seeing there's like one trio of purples, and then you actually have like random pinks and reds in this one, which is not something that at least I associate with at least having seen photos of lavender fields. So maybe I was expecting this to be more purple leaning. It is, I think, on the other hand, pretty good, because I do think a lot of people, this is a very, what I would say, people pleasing spring palette, because you do kind of have neutrals in this one, but then you have kind of like colors also, and you just don't have only purple, because I do know that a lot of people like purple only palette necessarily isn't the thing that they want to buy. So well, I do think the color story is quite pretty, but I think I'm good in terms of the colorful shades that I already have in my existing collection. So Hermes is bringing out this is saying spring/summer collection. So within this one we are getting some lipstick, and we are getting another very appealing looking face palette, like a face or a cheek like multi-use product. Maybe this isn't like as appealing as some of their other, for example, I'm still thinking about the horse cheek product we got during, I think it was the, was that for the Chinese New Year, or was it a holiday release? Anyway, this maybe isn't as appealing as that one, but I do have to say Hermes does this very well, because even if this is a product like collection in terms of pricing that I am not gonna like I'm gonna stay away from, but I do kind of like the aesthetics with the lipstick cases and then with the like multi-use cheek product that is in it. But for me this is a skip because this is gonna be horrendously expensive. I do like the lipstick bullets. The one with the there's one that has like white, pink and red in it, and also with one that has the yellow and orange accents in it is also pretty cool looking. So this goes to the category of collections that I admire from afar, and if I would have tons of money then maybe I would buy one of the lipstick, but we are not in that kind of price category, at least in terms of my makeup budget. Then something that is going to be coming to Sephora, so Rare Beauty is coming out with a, I think this is a matte foundation to their line, so this is the True to Myself Natural Matte Longwear Foundation. I already tried one matte foundation at the beginning of this year and we made the conclusion that that wasn't a good idea with my current skin type, so even if this would be accessible for me because you have to live in a country that has a Sephora in order to access this, I'm unfortunately belong to a category of people who that isn't as easy. So even if there would be like, even if I could get this relatively easily, I think it's safe to say that we did the kind of testing that matte foundations still don't work out on my skin anymore, and we can probably say with this one also that even though they're saying it's a natural matte longwear foundation, but I do think, I think based on the few images that I saw this on models, it does look quite of a like, even it's a natural matte, for me this looks like a full-on matte foundation. So for me this is a skip, but if you are looking for a matte foundation from Sephora and Rare Beauty is actually a bit more decently priced than some other Sephora brands, this could be something to look into. Dior is releasing a new setting spray. We're actually going to be also discussing another Dior release after this one. So this is the Airflash Mist Makeup Setting Spray. So what is this promising to do? Multi-use natural finish setting spray for fresh makeup and up to 24-hour hydration. So I think this, based on the description, it is more of a hydrating setting spray rather than something that full-on mattifies, but it is still promising. I think that it is supposed to like a smoothing effect and also waterproof and smudge proof. So it is also promising to do kind of all, but I do think based on the initial description it sounds more like a hydrating setting spray. I do kind of like the pink bottle design with the sort of Dior logo on it. So I'm obviously not gonna be paying Dior prices for setting sprays. Dior's good setting sprays for lesser price, but if you want to get a setting spray from Dior, I think this is an option. Then I'm gonna show the sort of like I think this is probably so far the most exciting summer luxury release we're seeing. So Dior's summer collection has been revealed. I think this was again first spotted in some Asian markets, and now we have seen it also on other like sort of accounts. What is this gonna be? So this is the Jonathan Anderson limited edition floral design collection for summer 2026. This looks pretty, even though I would have to say the quints, there's one of the quints has pop of blue, otherwise the quints are pretty dull, but because it has the floral design, I'm this and saying that this is probably the best thing we have seen in a long time in terms of like luxury design. Releases, especially the highlighter compact, I think that has some daisies and there's even a ladybug on it. I think it's a more bronzier highlighter, so I think I might not be able to get away wearing that particular one, but for the compact alone, I am seriously like considering some of my budgeting choices currently. There's also one of the liquid highlighters though, that is quite of a bronzy looking shade, so I think in terms of, especially with the liquid highlighter, I think that might be too deep for me, so that is an easy skip. We get a new range of lip oils, and then we are also getting quite a few eyeshadow sticks from Dior. I have, like, the eyeshadow sticks are probably good, but I always say that you can get good eyeshadow stick with less of a money, so that is not something that I would be spending my money on, but yeah, I do have to say the powder highlighter. I think the powder highlighter is something that's probably gonna be selling out very fast, so I think you should probably be eyeing, especially Dior's own website, quite consistently if this is a collection that you're eyeing, because I do believe the powder highlighter and I do think the quads, even though quints, even though the color stories inside the quints are not that special, but I do still think this is gonna be a very popular collection. But yeah, the highlighter, I'm definitely eyeing that one, even though I'm a bit questioning also in terms of the powder highlighter, is it too deep for me, but for the compact alone this could be something that I would still like to get. Then the second sort of one I said that we were having also an Essence limited edition collection. So Essence is doing another Disney collection, so this is the Little Mermaid. I do say from the Disney limited edition collections, I actually do kind of like the choices they've been making. I kind of like the eyeshadow palettes. The face palette is a bit clunky looking, but I do kind of like also the shade choices they made in that one. And then there is a plethora of lip products and also other kind of products, including this one. This is a skip for me because the quality in these limited edition collections, especially also with these Disney ones, has been pretty hit and miss. But I do kind of think they did the execution quite well. I do think this is pretty cute, especially I think for a teenager this could be quite a nice thing to get. More high-end summer. This is also quite something that did caught my eye. So Viseart is releasing a palette in collaboration with Lisa Says Ga. I'm a bit unsure, is that some kind of designer? Someone's gonna now correct me in the comments. I'm not familiar with the collaborator, but I assume it's some kind of designer because the packaging is looking quite nice. For Viseart, this definitely goes to the category of more colorful palettes. I do think Viseart is pretty good brand in terms of the fact that if you are into your more like traditional high-end eyeshadows, but then you want to get something of a bit more like maybe bit more adventures with your colorful color stories. Occasionally, I think Viseart is a good brand for that because their eyeshadow formula is still kind of more closer to the like traditional high-end and luxury brands, but they still can do like also fun color stories. I do think the packaging is the one that is also like drawing me more in, not maybe the colors inside. When you actually start looking at the colors, there is like, you get some neutrals, there are like pop of red and a bit of green, but then you do get kind of like these like muted pinks and purples. So it's like a bit of traditional Viseart color story, but with a bit more mixed up, and the packaging is definitely maybe even making this look even more exciting than it actually is. But I do think that if you are into Viseart eyeshadows and you don't have, for example, because they have come out with few colorful eyeshadow palettes previously. I think the Koi collection is the more famous one for being more colorful. But if you missed that one and you are especially into your Viseart eyeshadows, then maybe wait for this to come out, because I do think this is kind of cool, especially considering what the brand usually comes out with. More summer, and this also is probably going to my favorite summer collections in terms of like especially the packaging. So NARS is actually doing something pretty fun for a change. So this is this is actually spring and not summer. So this is the NARS Spring Peach limited edition collection, and I want one of the blushes. Ouch, that's gonna be. I'm even like usually the NARS's eyeshadow quads are the last thing that I'm interested in, but actually with these ones I'm like looking at them thinking that the orangey one. The one that has pop of orange but is actually otherwise very pretty, like traditional neutral, like quad, I'm still like looking at it. And even the lip oil packaging is looking kind of cute, and we get a powder also. From the blushes, I am kind of looking the one, I'm kind of like seeing the what kind of, I'm not looking at the peach one, but the one that kind of looks like a very muted, almost like a brown purple, like it's a very interesting shade. I hope this comes to our NARS retailers, because we do now have quite a few NARS retailers in my country, and I'm kind of thinking that we did get some parts of the summer, like holiday collection. Unfortunately, we didn't get the big face palettes from the Christmas collection, which I was pretty disappointed in, but I really want one of the powder blushes. I definitely don't need. And also the NARS powder blush formula that is in this sort of square packaging, it is one of my like most favorite high-end powder blush formulas. Also one of the lip oils would be kind of cool. Oh dear, yeah, so we shall see what's gonna happen. But in terms of like design and from what we usually see from NARS collections, this is actually like goes to the better part. I do have to say it's very appealing. So Tarte is expanding their duo cheek products. They came out with blushes in this similar packaging, and now they are coming out with bronzers. I do think this was quite expected, because I do think a lot of people, the blushes did get a decent amount of hype. So this is the Macaron Sculpt and Bronze, and I think the idea is that there is a cream side to this one, and then you have something to cover the cream, and then you have the powder on the other side. It is pretty, like, again, Tarte is one of those brands that is a bit more difficult for me to access, but it is looking to be quite of a warm tone bronzer range, so I think for me, I would have to see the fairest shade in store and see that is it a more neutral leaning bronzer, which is something that I can get away with, but if it's a very warm tone leaning or a yellow leaning light shade, then it's something that it's probably not gonna suit me. But if you did like the blushes in this similar formula and you're waiting for bronzers, these should also be available. Moira is expanding their lip collection, so I think it was during last fall they came out with a full-on lip range with I think there were glosses, there were lip liners, and there were lipsticks, and they were like very orangey brown shades. Now we're getting some pink, so safe to say this is more to my taste, because I was kind of thinking that because Moira generally has a pretty good quality, especially considering their price point, but I did say it on the video that it was very brown orangey leaning, which is not for me. These on the other hand are for me. So we are getting a full range of high shine lip glosses in pinks. We are getting some lipsticks that look to be more satiny. And we're getting some lip liners. The lip liners are skipped because a little bit of a sneak peek to my Pillows unboxing. I did actually get from the clearance sale one set of their like full-on big set of their lip liners. So I'm good in terms of my lip liners probably for the next 2 years. So with lip liners we are okay. But Moira is pretty widely accessible. The things that come to brick and mortar stores, there aren't like that, like not all of it. Usually the online selections are a bit better, but I think these are definitely products that will probably, at least some of them, will come to our more retailers. So I'm kind of thinking that maybe the lipsticks and some of the gloss shades are looking quite pretty. I'm gonna be wait and see which of these. We don't necessarily aren't gonna get the whole range of these ones, but I'm gonna see which shades are gonna be available and then maybe throw one into my cart if I'm making some other makeup purchases. But I do like this range much more because it's much more pink leaning, which is something that I do enjoy in terms of my lip colors. We are getting 2 releases from Lancome. So the first one is Lancome is introducing a La Bouche Rouge Glaze Tintation. Okay, sorry about my French, that was awful. So basically, you know, Lancome is hopping into the train of lip tints, which have been made pretty popular, at least in the Western markets, for the last few years, because we have gotten now a lot of K-beauty brands and Asian beauty brands have been bringing their products to the Western consumers, and now all the other Western brands are playing catch up and trying to bring their variation of lip tints. I'm actually currently wearing an Essence lip tint, and I think that is already like, I don't need to pay Lancome prices for getting a lip tint. The shades are looking a bit more, I think this is a bit more like red-pink leaning range rather than a very like orangey red leaning range that we sometimes see from lip tints. But I think for me this is a skip because I don't want to pay Lancome prices for lip tints. I can get decent lip tints at a lesser prices. The second Lancome product, and this is something that I did see already on our retailer, so this is the new complexion stick. So basically there is some highlighters in this one, and then you do get also some blushes, and I think there's even some bronzers. No, I think they are saying these are highlighter. No, for me at least seems that there's also like bronzer shades. I think in our retailers I saw already that we had the blush sticks and we had one of the highlighter sticks that is in the kind of fun like iridescent blue kind of shade, but I think the more brown leaning looking highlighters, those I haven't seen yet. But this is something that I think at least in Europe some retailers are already having these. I think it's did Lancome have stick blushes before? I now kind of have to think back because they had I think liquid blushes, but I'm a bit unsure. Maybe this is their first stick blush release, which is, yeah, that took a while considering that stick blushes, I think we have seen basically every brand has now done their variation of them. I think the blushes seem to be a bit more on the glowier side, but I am pretty good in terms of my like cream blush and cream highlighter products. So for me these are a skip. These are like, I checked, these are pretty pricey for what they are. So for me this is a skip, but if you've been looking for this kind of product from Lancome, these are already available at least in some retailers. And then MAC is apparently redesigning their powder blushes. I think this is a pretty OG product. This I think goes to a category of very traditional MAC product that have been around for ages. And I think the embossing is different than what I at least have seen in my sort of MAC retailers. So, and these are their, because they have separately like baked glowy blushes, and these are their like matte blushes. Well, in terms of like a range, obviously because it's MAC and these were like originally MAC was something that was quite heavily targeted to makeup artists. So basically if you have a need for any kind of powder blush shade, you are probably gonna find it from this range because MAC has quite of an extensive range. There are some fun colors in this one. We have some purple in here, and then there are some like muted colors, but then you also get some punchy colors. For me, because I always say that MAC goes in terms of the pricing to the kind of mid category, I'm kind of thinking that okay, but if I want something very like expensive, then I'm just gonna go and buy something from a luxury brand. And then if I want to save money, I can get something pretty similar from a drugstore brand. So for me, this kind of is a product that again I'm not interested in. But if you've been looking for some powder blushes from MAC and you've been kind of maybe wishing they maybe upgraded the formula, then this is at least, you could maybe try this one of these out. And then we're getting to the last release of the day. So Plumping did a huge extension to their Jordan Liberty line. For those of you living within European Union, or if you're shopping like from other also European countries, because I do know that Monolith Shop does ship also to other like non-EU countries. I think you should be waiting for Monolith Shop to announce which products they're gonna have from this launch, because this was actually a pretty extensive extension from the Jordan Liberty line. So we got a trio of bronzer or contouring palettes, and these are based basically for in terms of like shade ranges. So there's one for fair, one for medium, and then one for like deeper skin tones. Then there are some new neutral lip liners, and then we got some neutral glosses in this one. I am kinda eyeing the contouring palette for the fair. Like, I don't need a full-on contouring palette. Like, this I think is a very, especially the contouring bronzer palettes. Those are, well, I would say that for an individual consumer, these are kind of redundant, but I'm also kind of like eyeing the fair one, because I would be very interested to try a sculpting powder product from Lembani, because I have been enjoying their eyeshadow. I remember the liquid lipstick I had from them, that was pretty good, and I do have the original blush palette that they launched, like, that was before the Jordan Liberty collaboration when they came out with the duo. Oh, actually, yeah, I have it in here. So, this one is still one of my like favorite powder blush palettes from indie brands. So this was came out in a summer collection some years ago. It's still very good. So because I've been pretty impressed with their powder cheek products, I would very much like to try one of these like face contour bronzer palettes, but I'm also acknowledging that I really don't need. And especially with we're gonna be having the P. Louise unboxing. As I said, I'm gonna film it after this one. I might have bought another blush palette on the sale, so I don't need new cheek powder palettes in my collection. My drawers are gonna be very packed if I keep collecting them, but I do have to say this was a collection that did like caught my eye. I think the glosses and lip liners, we can safely say that I don't need those, but let's see what comes to Monolith Shop, because I do remember that when Monolith Shop got the stock of the original Jordan Liberty launch, they didn't get everything, so it could be again that depending on, I don't know if Monolith will do another poll where they're gonna sort of like ask again like their followers to see that what products would be like what people are interested in, but yeah, congratulations Jordan Liberty in terms of getting an extension. I do kind of see the purpose of this one, and I can understand considering how the Jordan Liberty line, how that is targeted compared to maybe other Lembani releases. So I do think especially a lot of artists are gonna like enjoy this one, and it's good that they brought out like full-on palettes for like 3 different like skin tone variation. That is pretty good, and I can understand the especially starting out with like these neutral lip colors, because I think those are the most kind of popular colors, especially for makeup artists. When people usually ask them to do their makeup, usually people don't actually ask that many exciting things. That is something that I hear from a lot of makeup artists, and you also read that quite a lot online, that usually people don't want that exciting if they get their makeup done. So I can get it that this makes sense, and yeah, let's see what comes to Monolith Shop, and let's see what's gonna happen if I'm gonna end up picking one of the bronzer palettes, even though I'm fully aware that as an individual consumer, I don't need this full-on kind of bronzer contour palette in my collection. Those were the launches I had to discuss for today. As I said, because we had a 2-week break, there was a lot to talk about. My favorite release, I'm gonna say it was the Dior summer collection and NARS spring collection, and this is very surprising because these brands, Dior's collections usually, there has been usually with the Dior seasonal collections, there usually been like one individual product, and again it's one individual product. In this one it's the like highlighter that has the daisies and the ladybug on it, and this is purely now like I'm admitting that it's purely because of the packaging, not necessarily the highlighter that's inside. And then the NARS spring collection also, that was I think again one of the blush shades is tempting me, but we shall see what happens. Comment down below what were your sort of favorite launches from this particular makeup news video. If you like this video, push the like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell button if you want to get notifications from future content. You can also find me with the same nickname, Makeup Hedgehog on Instagram. I hope I can see you in that video. Bye bye!